So I'm here with Tony Lombardo, an international multi-award-winning comedy writer, sketch comic, photographer, filmmaker, and great guy. It's several pieces go completely viral, and he brings to the marketing world this mantra: the picture is worth 1,000 words. How would you tell 1,000 boring words? Tony,
Adrian,
thank you for coming and speaking with me today. How's it going?
My pleasure, and thanks for getting me out of bed today.
No problem on this snowy February morning in Toronto, or just outside of Toronto. So let's just get right to it.
We did it, by the way.
We did it.
We did it. We taxed ourselves out of climate change. We did it. It worked.
It worked.
Go on.
The polar bears that are roaming around thank us. So I just want to ask you. So Tony, you and I met at the Vaughan Chamber of Commerce event last spring, and we had a booth. I had a booth. I think you were a couple booths down, and you had a great promotion there where you were taking professional headshots of people. And not only were you taking professional headshots of people, but you were like bringing it to the next level. Like, you kept saying to us, I remember getting mine done, and you're like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you've got to, I want you to face here, your nose sticks out too much, which is a fact. But tell me, I guess as a professional photographer, how has your business changed in the past, let's say 5 years? Because I feel like things have gone completely different, obviously, since COVID, but also just on digital side and everything else.
Yeah, I think it's independent of anything else. I think it is a saturation of visual noise is what the problem is. Mm-hmm. And that's what we solve. That's what I solve. But in terms of just getting people to stop scrolling and look at something and be like, whoa, what is that? And this is that visual defibrillation. But what I have noticed from clients is people literally saying is like, okay, we've gone as far as we could with our phone. Our competition looks better than us. And if I look at the two, being on the mechanical side of these things, like, yeah, they just spent more money on production value. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. So if you look like garbage on camera, it's because you do not have a cinematographer. If you don't know how to organize all the content into some sort of arc, it's because you do not have a producer. If you are fumbling and you don't look good on camera, it's because you don't have a director. And if you don't have something to say, it's because you don't have a writer. Mm-hmm. Now, those roles, most people just think that, well, that's a Hollywood movie thing. It's like, no, you need a writer, you need a director, you need a producer, you need a cinematographer, unless somehow you know how to do all those things, which mm-hmm. most accountants, lawyers, or any other non-visual artist does not know, because they know their own thing. So that's the thing that I've noticed is, yeah, we can bump up your production value. It's just money. It's all it costs.
Yeah. And I find, like, when I talk with businesses too, like, they do a lot of stuff. They use these, right? And it's great, actually. Like, I encourage anybody to.
There's room for it.
Yeah. But you need to do both. Like, I feel like you've got to be doing this maybe like on a regular, almost like daily basis. Just throw stuff out there, throw things against the wall, record something, look at it, see if it worked, see how it looks. If it's something that you could post that is going to look authentic, do it. But then on the other side of things, like, you really want to put your best foot forward. Like, if you're doing anything promo for your website, like on the main page of your website, you want to make sure that it looks professional. If you are doing something that you're sending out to clients, like if it's let's just say back in the day, print, you want to make sure that it looks professional. If you're doing a sales presentation where you're pitching a client, you don't want to use your phone. You want to make sure that you're doing it professionally.
Yeah, we're from the same cloth in this, as like mm-hmm. the whole, hey guys, like, that works really well because it's very authentic, but mm-hmm. it works to the audience who've already got established. Yep. If you're doing outreach with this stuff, I don't think that when a potential client looks at that and then looks at that other company where there's the nice lighting and the sound is really great, oh, these people are more serious than these people, is what mm-hmm. it comes down to,
Yep. Yeah.
They spend some money on this. They're more serious. I'm going to go with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I totally agree with. So the one thing that you and I guess are very different on, though, you're visual, you've done, photography and visuals and video and everything like that for years. I'm trained as a copywriter. So in the past, I used to do long form copywriting for direct mail. So I would write 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 word ads, right? You know, even though you say 1,000 boring words. So I guess like I have my ideas, my personal ideas on storytelling, my professional ideas on storytelling. Tell me a little bit about what your, I guess, viewpoint on storytelling is on the visual side.
Yeah, it's the same exact principles. We're just using two different tools to accomplish the same thing, which is tell a narrative. And I remember teaching a course at George Brown or Humber or something, and I was telling them all about storytelling and how everything you see on a screen is the bias of what they want you to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the kids, like, in the old, is this going to be on the exam? They're giving me the how does this relate to new emerging digital media? And I'm like, it doesn't matter, because ever since we've been sitting around a fire in a cave, we've gone through the same human story. If anyone's ever studied Joseph Campbell, it's that character arc is the same thing we always know. And so you take that arc and apply it to your client and how you're going to get them from farm boy Luke to Jedi Luke. How is that arc going to happen? You know? And so you do it with words, I do it with visuals. And because I'm more on the quirky comedic side of things, the thing I learned early on when creating promo pieces for our sketch troupe is the basic template of a joke is setup, punchline, setup, punchline. So we just started always thinking that way in terms of our visuals of, okay, we'll have a guy in a suit, and then a guy in a wedding dress. Like that sort of template is like, you can always set up, punchline. And so that's how I've always looked at if I need to make it hilarious or if I just need to make it slightly entertaining for like a lawyer. Like I shoot for comedians and I shoot for lawyers and accountants and everything in between. So it's like, well, what's the sandbox we're going to play in? And then we'll play in that, right? So like I had a guy shot at for CIBC Wood Gundy, you know, investment banker, white collared guy. But in the commercial I'm shooting, it's a little bio commercial. I'm like, well, what are you into? Blah, blah, blah. He loves fishing. And I'm like, bring your fishing rod. And so I have this awesome shot of him over the stairs fishing with his fishing rod in a suit at CIBC. And like the setup punchline is, we can see it's a bank. The location is set up. He's in a suit. Wardrobe is a setup. And then the prop is the punchline. Da-da-da. And it's enough for people to say, what is that? What is that? Oh, he's into fishing. I'm into fishing. And it accomplishes at least that much, is makes you smile, makes you nod your head, maybe makes you want to talk to the guy if you're into fishing too.
So what was that for? Like, what was that? Was that for like his, like a promo piece for his social or what
that
was that?
Was part of a social media asset library that I was creating for him. And along with a commercial I had made for his site. That was sort of an introductory, hey, I'm Dean, this is what I do, this is what I think, da-da-da-da-da.
Got it.
One of those little 60-second bio commercials, which work for guys like that. Because it's a personal relationship is what you're selling.
So if I'm running a business, so let's say I have a business, I'm like, man, I really need to improve my visuals. I need a photo shoot done of, let's say, my office. Let's say I have an event space, okay? I
got a great example of this.
Okay.
I have a very good example. I was walking a trade show, and then a guy I kind of knew is working at a venue that I know. It's a spa and a hotel, and it's a wedding show. And he's like, hey, you know about marketing? He's like, well, what do you think of this? And I'm looking at it, and it's all these little photos on this banner of interiors of the space. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, if you scan from left to right across this trade floor, all you see is all this mismatched color and all this noise. And your banner and your booth is just a bunch of more noise. It'd be much better off visually to just have one giant picture that's one major color. And so that when people scan across, like, whoa, what's that blue thing? Or what's that white thing? And at least you can stick out by having, you know, a 14 by 10 one image, because this trade show floor is so busy. I'm like, and then on top of that, I'm like, you're showing me all these interiors. Do you guys sell beds? Are you guys selling lawn furniture? What are you guys selling? And he's like, no, it's a hotel and a spa, and we want to appeal to brides. I'm like, where's a picture of a bride? I'm like, what are you selling here in the hotel? Is it like an escape for the weekend? And where are the people having a great time? Where are the kids playing in the pool? Like, where's the person enjoying a massage? Like, it's such basic stuff.
Yeah.
And so then at that point, to answer your question, is I said to him, like, what problem are you solving? And he said, I don't know. I'm like, there's your problem.
Yeah. It's funny, is that something that I talk about a lot, and like I always ask customers, so what problem are you solving? Like that's the number one thing, because every business solves a problem. And sometimes what they do, they get too wrapped up in the features of what they do. Well, we do this, we do that, this is what we offer. Like, so we have 20,000 square feet, we have laser
Nobody
lighting,
cares.
we have a smoke machine. I'm like, no. What problem? Well, and sometimes people don't even realize what the problem is.
Yeah.
Right. So like this guy, it might have been like, the problem is like a nervous bride worrying that her friends and family aren't going to be impressed by the wedding. Right. So
there's a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem. What we solve is, don't worry. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And this is why when you leave here, you're going to have more confidence, smile on your face, and you are going to have the best wedding, and your friends are going to talk about it.
Exactly. And that is the exact arc we're talking about. Is went from nervous bride to super confident, gorgeous, beautiful bride that is the envy of her friends.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to do along the way to get you there.
So you mentioned CIBC Wood Gundy. You talked about how you gave a fishing rod to a guy, but tell me, like, what happens like when you've got, like, let's say a lawyer or something like that. Somebody's like really, really serious, and they come up to you, and sternly, and they say, they meet you, and they're like, look, I know you're a comedian, I know it's sketch comedy, but I got to be serious. Like, how do you handle that?
Well, there's two things that happen there. And the principle of that I live by is it's easier to pull back than it is to push up a hill. Is my work shows literally insanity and the most weirdest, quirkiest stuff, because that's who I am and that's what I show. It gets people's attention, but it's also very polarizing for my own marketing, which somebody who's pretty boring and doesn't want to explore a little bit of spice in their life is not going to call me, which is great. I get calls from people who are like yesterday, financial planner, he had hired a marketing company, and he saw my stuff and he's like, hey, give me your opinion on this marketing company. He shows me his Instagram reel, and it's all stock photos and the most boring thing ever. And I just flat out said, I'm like, you're putting me to sleep. I'm like, you look no different than anybody else, and no one's going to care about this. He goes, yeah, that's how I feel. He goes, I don't know if I want to keep hiring these guys. And now he wants to talk to me. I'm like, yeah, you're the kind of guy that can see that this is so middle of the road and vanilla that you want to just jump across a bit. Like, even just this week, I had a branding gal that I know out in Texas introduced me to a dental clinic. And I was like, okay, but they're a dental clinic that wants to just shock people, get a little funny, get a little weird, just so they stick out from the rest of the crowd. And that's what people find in Tony Lombardo, is we just want to be a little different than our competition. And then it's a matter of drawing the lines to the sandbox. It's like, okay, like, where are we on this barometer of crazy to mildly entertaining to crazy? Like, oh, you're a financial planner. We should probably be around here, and we'll play anywhere in this box. But we can't go over there. Otherwise, you're going to look like a clown. Similarly, if I'm shooting a comedian or a comedy festival, or I'm now publicist photography at Second City, if I'm going to shoot Second City like this guy over here, it's a failure. You're not, it's, what's the music and what's the dance?
So I guess, I have one last question, is that, like, if I'm looking to promote myself, okay, or my business, I need to go visual. What would the steps I should take either before contacting you or while contacting you? Like, what do you need from me?
I actually prefer when people are so lost that they like how you and I always think of, like, what's the problem you are solving? And they don't even know that much. Then it's like, okay, well, 90% of my work is before picking up a camera. It's all in the pre-production. It's all in the scripting. It's all in the discovery of what is this story? Because we can't just shoot photos. Then they're just going to be photos. We're telling stories. So what's the story? And if you don't know the story, then it's my job as the detective to pull that out and shape this thing into something that someone will resonate with and say, like, oh, yeah, my coat hangers do suck.
Tony, tell me, how would somebody contact you if they wanted to hire you to do some photography or do some comedy or do some video, or just to get you to show up and paint their front porch?
That is the best part. I just recommend head to TonyLombardo.com. Have a peruse. I guarantee it'll put a smile on your face. It's got some pretty funny stuff on there.
It does.
I would love to talk to you and find out what your story is. And if you don't have it yet, then how great, we get to build it.
Awesome. Tony, thank you very much for taking the time in the snowy morning here in Toronto. Enjoy tobogganing later with the kids.
I will. Thank you. Adrian, a pleasure, my friend.
All right, bud. Be well.